friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And I'm here today to give you 5 reasons why you should store your favorite nuts and seeds. And this video is not about how to store them for long term. I have a separate video on that I'll link to in the description box down below. So make sure you click on that long horizontal box just below the video screen if you're on a computer, or the word more over on this side if you're on a smart device. So why would you want to have something like this in your storage? I mean, besides the fact that you just like nuts and seeds, well, because it's more than just that. So with the way things are going on the food frontier, we're all should be looking at different ways to be putting up different types of foods that we, especially those that we cannot grow ourselves. So I would recommend, if you are able to grow some of your favorite nuts and seeds, then do so. But for those things you can't grow that you really like, yes, you can put them up for long term. And here are some reasons why. And the first point is that nuts and seeds are packed with lots of protein, fiber, healthy fat, and minerals that our bodies need. Point number 2 is all the many great things that you can do with nuts and seeds. So a lot of times when we think nuts and seeds, we think, let's say walnuts or pecans, we can make pies out of those, or we can just add a little salt and snack on them, or add them to granolas, which is great, but there's so much more you can do with them besides that. And one of my favorite things to do, besides just snacking on them when I'm in the mood, is to take whatever blend I'm in the mood for, or single nut or seed, and make some kind of milk out of it. Once you make a milk out of something, including coconut milk, which is a nut, right? A lot of people think, well, why would I want to make milk out of that and go through all that trouble when I could just go down the store and buy a box of milk? Well, here's the thing. When you're making it from the nuts and seeds you already have in storage, especially if you know what you bought is organic and doesn't have any additives or anything sprayed on it, then you can make your own blend the way you want it and have nothing added to it unless you want to. Maybe when you're making your nut milk, you can add a little vanilla flavoring or some other homemade extract that you like to make for flavor. Maybe you can add a little sweetness to it by throwing in a couple of dates or some maple syrup. So there's that aspect. No additives except for what you want. And believe it or not, it is more cost effective to make your own nut milk than to buy it in the store. And it is such a super easy process. You just need to start it a day in advance because your nuts and your seeds do need time to soak and soften. So by the way, I'm not going to explain how to make nut milk here or seed milk. Just check out my playlist. I'll be putting in the description box down below, which is my dairy-free playlist. So this is especially going to apply for those who are either vegan or just cannot have animal dairy products. So I have various different recipes in there, but several of them show how to make different types of nut and seed milk. The process is the same no matter what nut or seed you use, but I just give you some different ideas of some blends or types that you can try to make for yourself. Now, honestly, I haven't tried making sunflower seed milk or peanut milk yet, or chia seed milk, but I have done hemp seed, and though I love hemp seeds, that and pumpkin seed milk are the 2 least favorites I've tried so far. But here's the other thing about making your own, is that leftover pulp, where all that fiber is, you don't throw it out and waste it, because that's silly. You take that. And this is one of my favorite things about making a nut and seed milk. I'm not one, even when it comes to nut milk, I'm not one to just drink milk. I've never been a milk drinker. But the milk I can use in many different things, and the pulp I can use in many different things. So if you dry out the pulp, you can then powder it and make a nice flour that can work great in all kinds of different recipes. And in fact, I've even made pancakes with no additional flour, just my own homemade nut flour that had, I don't remember what all different nuts. I'd just been making various different nut milks, and I kept drying the pulp and then powdering it up and putting it in a jar. So it had a mix of all kinds of different nuts and seeds in there. And I actually have a recipe I typed out. Even though I didn't do a specific video just on this, I did type out the recipe, and I will provide the link to that recipe for free in the description box down below. So it was really easy, and the pancakes turned out so tasty and wonderful. But you can also use them as supplement with other flours. So even if it's a gluten-free or non-gluten-free flours, you can just add those in. Well, and you can also do that with the pulp if you use it right away. So you don't have to dehydrate it like I did a year or so ago when I made some Brazil nut milk, then took the pulp, stuck it in the refrigerator overnight, and the next day added it to applesauce Brazil nut bread that I just made up on the spot. And I did a video just on that. So I'll link to that specific video as well down below. As long as you use that pulp up within the next day or two, you don't have to dehydrate it. Just add it immediately to things. Any kind of quick bread is where it's going to be best. Muffins, banana bread, pumpkin bread, whatever you want to make. Cookies is a great one. I've used that in cookies as well, just throwing that pulp right into a batch of whatever cookies I was making. And then of course, like I said, the pancakes, anything like that, it works great in. And by the way, I forgot to get this out. So this is the dried pulp from the last batch I made. I think this is Brazil and hazelnut. And I didn't powder this up to turn it into a flour. I did do a video just on making nut flours that I think that's in that dairy-free playlist. But if you leave it kind of more coarse like this, which is how it's going to come off your dehydrator. In fact, I just dried this next to the wood stove. I just put it on tray, dried it next to the wood stove. It dried beautifully. I didn't need an electric dehydrator to do that. And you can also do that in your oven on a low setting and leaving the oven cracked open and just using any kind of cookie sheet. I recommend stoneware, by the way, for that especially. But anyway, if you leave it like this, it is definitely coarse. This makes a great breading for whatever it is you like to put a breading on and fry, such as maybe some kind of fish that you like to bread and then fry up. That's a really great breading. You can also mix it with other types of flours or, even a cornmeal or something if you want to. But yes, lots of great uses for this. And so don't throw that pulp out. And that's just that part of it. The other thing you can do with the pulp is you can turn it into a pudding. Like you can see here in this picture, I made a chocolate pudding. And that one, I did do a video on that, which is also in that dairy-free playlist. In that one, I used a blend. I think I added almonds too. And I didn't like the texture of it near as much as when I used the pecan cashews. Because anytime you add cashews, by the way, which are right there, they're going to make a more creamy consistency for your pulp. But they're also harder to strain out. That's why I don't like making cashew milk by itself, because the pulp it's so rich and creamy that it's hard to get all the milk out of it without the pulp coming through your cloth when you strain it out. So mixing it with pecans or some other type of nut is a really good idea. And my favorite in that case is to mix it with pecans. I love the flavor and the texture I get. So a 50-50 blend. But anyway, so you can make a chocolate pudding out of it. It doesn't have to be chocolate. It can just be whatever. It can be a vanilla pudding simply by adding some vanilla extract to it, or any other flavorings you would like. Or you can go on the more savory side and turn that pulp into like a cream cheese, and all that's so good. I love that. And again, I have a recipe to that in that dairy-free playlist. All right, so then point number 3, adding them directly to baked goods. So obviously using, like I didn't bring out the sliced almonds, but I also have sliced almonds are great for adding on top of, like when I do orange almond cinnamon rolls, I'll put the sliced almonds on top. They're great for adding directly into cookies, but I'll do this a lot too with my seeds. That's the number one thing I use most of my seeds for, is directly in baked goods. So 2 more seeds that I don't have out here, or 3 more, are my poppy seeds, my flax seeds, and my black seeds. I use all of those in breads. Now the black seeds get reserved only for just doing a regular yeast bread, because they definitely have a more savory flavor. But the hemp seed, the chia, the poppy, and the flax are something not only do I like to add to my yeast breads, but can be tossed into cookies and pancakes and more to just add more nutrition to these things as you're making them. You're getting more fiber, you're getting more protein, you're getting more minerals when you do that. So, and that's an obvious one because a lot of people like to use nuts and seeds in different recipes and baked goods. But I did want to bring that up because it's just not only a way to add more flavor or maybe a little bit of crunch to something, it also is going to add more nutrition all the way around. And then point number 4, and I've only done this once with peanuts, but we have a Country Living grain mill, and the company was actually very gracious and generous to send us a few years back an auger for making peanut butter and other types of nut butters. And so Patrick, I think it was Patrick that did it, or it was both of us, I don't know. We did a video on making peanut butter with the Country Living grain mill, but you can make any kind of butter. Some people are allergic to peanuts, so almonds might be a better choice, or sunflower seeds, or whatever it be. And there's other ways. You don't have to have a Country Living grain mill. I think those people who invested in a Vitamix, if I remember correctly, and anyone who has one can share this, please share this in comments down below. I think those work really good for making different types of nuts and seed butters. So you can make your own doing that. You can even make your own blend doing that. And then point number 5 is just a very general one, and that is just like with any food that you start adding to your food storage. It's because a lot of times we start off, especially people who are new into preparedness and putting up for hard times, the thing they're always told is rice and beans, rice and beans. Well, that rice and beans, that is a great place to start, and the reason that's the people say that is you can get a lot of fiber and protein with the combination of the two, and they're cheap to stock up on. They're one of the cheapest things that you can quickly put up in storage. But those items are going to get old very quickly, and your body needs more than what it's going to find in just rice and beans. So you could survive off rice and beans. You're not going to thrive off rice and beans. And there's something that we always are trying to prevent, and that is food fatigue. And so that is why we should always be looking at other things that we enjoy, that we can then we know are healthy for us, that we can add to our food storage. Nuts and seeds are just one of those things, and I think sometimes they just simply get overlooked. I don't think people consider nuts and seeds enough for their food storage. And let me point out another one here, and that is, and this by the way is vacuum sealed in a recycled green olive jar, green olives that we get at Costco from time to time. And so when I'm vacuum sealing these, I do use the vacuum chamber that Patrick makes. And if you're interested in that, like some more information, I'll put the video to that down below. Patrick also makes a half-gallon chamber. Since our Etsy store is closed, please email us at raincountryhomestead@gmail.com if you're interested in learning more about it and purchasing one. But at any rate, pistachios. Now, I haven't made any kind of milk or used these in any kind of snacks or any kind of food because I just love pistachios to snack on, and these are roasted and salted. So I probably wouldn't use these in a recipe. I just have those on hand for when I'm in the mood, but it's not something I also try to make it a habit of just eating all the time because yes, a lot of nuts can be very expensive. Hazelnuts, macadamia nuts is another one. Sometimes I'll put those up too, but they are the most expensive one that I can think of. Hazelnuts also are, and Brazil nuts. So I try to really, the more expensive ones, I do try to limit my consumption of. And by the way, these pecans right here were sent to me from one of my followers who has a pecan tree. Thank you again for that. But I do also find through Costco, by the way, I can get the organic pecans and the organic almonds. And so that's usually, if someone's not gifting me with them, then that's usually where I get such things. Oh, and the organic cashews too. They carry those as well now. But a lot of the other ones now I get through Azure Standard, such as the organic peanuts, the organic sunflower seeds, the organic chia seeds, and so much more. Coconut, you name it. Hemp seeds, all that stuff you can get from Azure Standard. And I'll put a link to Azure Standard down below. But anyway, all of these things can really add to your food storage and prevent food fatigue, especially with the innumerable things that you can do with them. And make sure you're only putting up the ones that you and your family will consume. Don't put up a bunch of nuts and seeds that you're not going to eat. So if you don't like the taste of hemp seed or pumpkin seeds or even pistachios, don't store them just because I do. Only store them if it's something you want to do. All right, well, any thoughts, suggestions, ideas, please put those in comments down below, and don't forget to check out the links I'll be putting in the description box down below. And thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.